Got a Jeep Ring Treasure, fender damage, R9 front bumper, new headlight, new fender, blend door, small job. I actually might get it done today. It's still early in the morning. We'll see. What's up, YouTube? I'm enjoying making these videos for you guys. Like, share, comment. I want to get it out to as many people as I can, possibly. If you have any questions about my procedure on painting, please ask. I know people do it different. Some people say this is the right way, the wrong way. I know what works for me, and I'm going to try to show you guys. I'll show you my mistakes, whatever. You know, it's not perfect. This ain't a perfect world. You just got to work through the problems. I always start off by wiping off my hose. I just take one of the older dirty rags, use the water cleaner and get it a little damp, not soaking wet, just a little damp. Wipe off that hose, man. I get a lot of trash coming off that hose. That was a mistake I made for about a year until I started practicing it. Tack rag, everything. Tack rag the plastic. I got the paint gun turned up to about 40 PSI, just blowing and tacking. The more you tack, probably the cleaner the job. So it doesn't hurt anything to tack a little extra than you actually have to. Got a new fender here. Now I usually like to cut in my fender and I'll put sealer on the outside of the fender too, put it back on the car, sand that sealer with like 600 grit, and then blend the door with it so it's all on the car at the same time. But I was actually rushing on this job and I figured I could just spray the fender on the stand and blend the door and everything should be good. Now, I would love to blend the hood too so everything will match perfectly, but I can only do what the insurance company pays for. I can't do a whole bunch of extra work, you know, spraying the hood. You actually use a lot of clear coat. It wouldn't be a lot of base coat, but it would be a lot of clear coat, and that's material that the shop wouldn't get paid for. I was able to use blue sealer. We have AUTOBase Plus, I believe it is, Sickens, AXONOBLE. It has all the different color sealers. I just mixed up some blue, added some black, added some white. Not a perfect match, but it's pretty close. It helps that base coat cover it much easier. I also spray my sealer at high pressure, like I'm spraying clear coat, because I want that sealer to be slick as possible. If not, it'll end up with a lot of orange peel during the clear coat process because you have texture in the sealer and the base coat and everything else just gonna follow the same texture. And yes, that is my clear coat gun, but I do not spray any base coat out of it. This is just a base coat blender I'm spraying down, and it is clear, just as clear as a clear coat. And I don't mind putting that through my clear coat gun, but I've never put base coat through this gun, which I'm sure it'll spray base coat just fine. First coat of base, that sealer's flashed off. I let it flash off about 15-20 minutes. It's running about 80 degrees in the paint booth. Now, that blender is going to flash off in about 5 minutes. It'll be fine on that door. Now, I like to hit my edges first. Some people say do the edges last. That way, you have wet base coat on the outside of the panel, so the overspray will land in something wet. I've never really seen a big difference. On tri-coats, like the pearl whites and the Ford RR, stuff like that. You have to be careful with the edges, because when you're doing the mid coat, if you hit those edges too much, it'll make the edges like darker. As you can see, that base coat's going on a little moderately, but that's okay for the first coat. All it is really the primer's not getting, it's not 100% covered, so you're seeing a little bit of the primer through the base coat, and it looks real moderately. But that usually clears up on the second coat. On this color, some colors take 3 coats. Just add a little bit of base coat to the door edge, so you know that'll match. Second coat of base, just like the first coat, not much change. Make sure you hit all the edges. When I'm talking to people about painting, I always tell them, like, spraying a panel or spraying something fully, it's not that hard actually. Like, people get scared of paint. It's really not that hard. What's hard is when you get to the blends and the different variants of colors, and trying to make stuff match and not be noticeable. And your gun is another tool. You know, I get a lot of questions about different guns and all that jazz, but really, you don't have to have an expensive gun. You just have to have a good gun, right? You could buy cheap guns that spray decently. Now, the good guns are usually more expensive. Now, see how I did that blend? I went farther on the bottom, and at the top I kept it right behind the mirror. I do that on purpose. That way when you put the mirror on, you know, the shadow of the mirror covers any blend in that area. You gotta use mirrors, door handles, whatever, body lines to your advantage when blending. Now here's where I messed up at. Now I didn't mess up so bad where I had to redo the job, but doing this drop coat, some people call it a mist coat, where I hold the gun back, turn the pressure down a little bit, it actually, because of the metallics, lightened the color up just a little bit. So when I put the fender on, the gap between the fender and the hood, the fender actually ended up a little lighter. And it was just because of the orientations of the metallics. Now on that clear coat, you want to be like a robot. Not so much on the base coat, but definitely on the clear coat to get everything even and looking nice. Make sure you don't go too heavy on that first coat. That first coat is crucial to the end of the job. You don't want too many dry spots because it could cause too much texture and you can't fix it in the second coat. You can even put a third coat on, but most of the time I'm 2 coats, you know. But you don't want to go too heavy. You want to make sure you give it a nice 10 minutes to flash off. You can touch the tape around the painted area, make sure it's flashed off, make sure it's nice and sticky there, and then you always lay that second coat a little bit heavier, a little bit slower. Watch how the paint's going on. That's a big thing, which is easier said than done, because on like whites and pearl whites, man, the booth lights are blinding you, so you really can't see. You really just more spraying and praying, but you know, as with skill and time, you learn how that gun's working, you learn your gun, you know how it's going on as you're spraying it. Second coat of clear, I usually start at the bottom and work my way to the top. Some people say start at the top and work your way down, but I always have, and I just usually do what feels right at the moment, and it just felt right to start at the bottom and work my way up. I start with the door first, because if I started with the fender and sprayed the clear coat on the fender and then the door, all the overspray is being pulled to the front of the boot. So I wanted that overspray to go ahead and land on that fender, and then when I come do the second coat, all of it will melt in and come out with a nice finish. As you can see, I about ran out of clear, man. But the trick with these liners is, you know, put your finger over the tip of the gun, pump a little air back in that liner, and there's a little bit more clear coat still left in there. I'd rather run out with just a little bit to go than have way too much mixed up, costing the shop money. And you know, you save the shop money, there's more chance of you making more money. And that's about it, man. I appreciate you guys watching. Like, share, subscribe. See you on the next video. Thank you.